What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilkin. We have a brand new Record Buster boss to talk about. Let's jump in. Let's talk about this. Let's go. Now, the first thing I do want to say is I was pretty adamant that this was going to be a dark physical team. And honestly, if we actually get in here, Gareth is just deficient to dark. Doesn't matter if it's magic. It doesn't matter if it's physical. Just dark. All you need is a dark team. In fact, you can mix and match them if you really wish, and there's a really good reason you might want to do that. But it doesn't matter, magic, dark, whatever. Because of that, I'm going to run the Record Buster team that I ran last time, and actually, they should do a little bit better. Now, if we talk about his deficiencies, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, dark is down 50%. As I said, physical and magic are neutral, and he will attack you with stun. So you neither have stun anklets or an assist that does stun resistance or something. You have to have stun resistance on your units. If you do not, they will get stunned, and you will not have a very good time with this. That said, let's jump in. Now, right out of the gate, we're going to go ahead and do Line's 33% SA gauge charge. Now, I want to emphasize this build actually has a few holes in it. I know that there's more damage available in here, not just with upgrading units, but with adding a unit or two in here. I haven't actually built that out. We just got this Record Buster. I'm still working on the team, and we're in the learning process. So rather than farting around with unit modification and building a brand new team and all this stuff, let me show you a team that actually is a bunch of older units, not necessarily what I'd call old units, aside from Philibus, she's ancient, and Line says too. I mean, both those units are like 2 years old at this point. But the other two were fairly recent acquisitions, 6 months ago or something like that. But 3 or 4 months ago. Still, nevertheless, they are slightly older in the realm of things. But this is a team that a lot of you could probably put together fairly easily. And I don't even have Elfie Max Limit broken. And she's going to do fine here. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now, speaking of Elfie, I'm going to go ahead and debuff Strength and Magic 40%. Now, this also comes with a Dark Resistance debuff, and that's really important. But the main takeaway here is that Strength and Magic. You need to debuff Strength and Magic, or else Gareth is going to hit you stupid hard. He does not buff his Strength and Magic. He just hits like a truck, kind of like Otaro. He will at some point, basically buff his physical and magic resistance and his counter rate. We'll talk about that when that happens, but it's with this kind of debuff on there, it's rather insurmountable. It's really not that big of a deal. So, or it's not insurmountable, I guess you could say. So, Spotlight, Oracle, and we're going to go ahead and do Innocent Dark. That's going to go ahead and be her major buff skill. And we're just basically going to do our general buff and debuff stack with everybody. Everybody's getting their buff and debuff stack just like they always would. With the one exception that, like I said, I'm debuffing Strength and Magic right out of the gate because it is a hairy situation. Now, I'm not even going to talk about what this other Ryu is doing because she's kind of pointless on this team. She's really just here at this point holding a spot until I figure out how I'm going to work a couple other units into this team. So I'm not even going to talk about what she's doing here. It is rather pointless. Now, I'm just going to continue our buff and debuff stack. Now, since she doesn't actually have another buff or debuff, I'm just going to go straight into doing her major attack. Everybody else is going to have some kind of buff or debuff situation going on. And that's just kind of that. Now, notice that the other Ryu did get stunned. Once again, if you do not have stun anklets or some kind of anti-stun on, you do run that risk. So you want to make sure you are running anti-stun. Now, we finally get Haruhime in here. We're going to go ahead and buff Dawn Wind. And the one thing is, we do need to pay very, very, very close attention to the buff-debuff stack. So, everybody else is going to kind of do their big hit. Everybody else should be pretty well buffed up. They should have most of their buffs in play. And we're going to work up to a triple SA shortly after the buffs are removed. Buffs get removed on turn 7. So, I believe we're on turn 8. We're actually going to do a major series of buffs and triple SA. So let's go ahead and jump in. So she did the Dawn Wind. That's going to give us buff replication, AoE damage, things like that. And you'll notice here that debuffs are getting ready to expire. So we've got to do Blowing Wind on this turn and make sure those debuffs do not expire. If those debuffs expire, we're going to have a really, really, really bad time. Oracle is also about to expire. That's her extra action, so I'm going to go ahead and rebuff that. Her extra action, Insanity Genesis, is also going to run out, so we need to rebuff that. And when it comes to her, I'm going to go ahead and do her skill 1. I don't need this skill 3. It's kind of pointless, so I'm going to do her skill 1 just to get the most amount of damage out of her. She doesn't have any extra actions. She doesn't really have any debuffs. She's really just like skill 2, then skill 1. She does have some defensive things she can do, and if I need to utilize those later, I can, but I don't feel like it's really the end of the world. I'm not terribly worried about it. Now, the one big difference between this boss and any other boss you see in the game, notice turn 4, we did not do an SA. He gets 2 SAs, not 3. The thing is with each one of those SAs, he does something a little bit different. So, let's soldier on, turn 5. So now debuffs are looking good. Buffs should be looking pretty good. She's got additional actions. Everybody else here is pretty good. Dark attack damage, darkened strength, and dark attack damage and magic. So we're good there. We've got everybody's pretty well buffed up. Everybody's looking pretty respectable in their respective paths. So we're going to go ahead and do Blowing Wind and basically soldier on. We already did Oracle, so we're going to go ahead and do the her third skill. And yeah, everybody's just basically do their big attack on this turn. Nothing too crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. With the exception that our buffs haven't yet been removed, and we didn't have to suffer an SA on turn 4. We're actually going to suffer the SA on turn 6, like we would normally on turn 4, and that is actually going to remove our buffs. So, pay close attention, because that part becomes extremely important. Now, here's the deal. Whether or not it's the right thing to do, I like to do Dawn Wind on this turn. Okay, bear in mind what Dawn Wind does. It gives us a 33% SA gauge charge and a big AoE defensive buff, but also 3 additional actions, 30% HP heal, and status buff plus 2 turns. So here's the deal. That will take effect 2 turns from now. 2 turns from now. Because even though he does remove buffs, he does remove extra actions. So, those extra actions stay in play, and those extra actions are going to be absolutely critical. So, we're going to do Dawn Wind on this turn. Everybody else just does their big attack, and that is that. Now, as I said, we're going to endure an SA here. Now, it shouldn't hurt us. We should be fine. It is what it is. But now we've got a triple SA in our hands. Okay? So, let's go ahead and endure this attack. Okay. And we didn't really take a huge amount of damage. So now I'm going to do an SA with Haruhime, Ryu, and Philvis. We're going to leave Elfie out for one very big reason, and that is because Elfie's attack is a debuff, which would get removed here in a couple of turns anyway, and is only for 1 turn. You cannot use Elfie's SA with Haruhime's SA, otherwise it won't get replicated, so I've got to break those 2 up. It does hurt a little bit that I can't do like all that damage in 1 turn, but you know, it is what it is. It's in the end, for what we've got here, it's the way we've got to get some damage out. Now, my team composition is one thing. You need to bear that in mind for your team composition and how you want to handle that, but for me, since we're doing an SA in this turn, we're actually not going to get the additional actions again. So if I did something like that, because remember, extra actions don't happen on an SA turn. If I did do an SA with Elfie, her debuff would be 1 and done and wasted. So, let's do our triple SA, and Elfie's just going to sit back and do her big attack. Boom. Okay. Now, Ryu is an attack, but she also gives 100% dark damage. Wasn't a phenomenal hit, but let's see what kind of hit Philvis gets. Ooh, nice. 4 mil. Ooh, RNG shine upon me. Let's go. Okay. So, now, everybody's got dark attack damage. Everybody's got strength. Everybody's got magic. Everybody pretty much has most of the buffs they need. We could do some defensive stuff. We can do some other things. But, let's see. Dawn Wind is good for another 3 turns in total. So this is really the first turn where we're going to have that, and it is worth noting that dark attack damage is down basically to 1 turn. So on this turn, we're going to have to, like, we are going to get the extra action anyway, so I'm going to hold off on doing extra actions, basically until that point. Now, everybody else is going to have to rebuff their extra action. That is just kind of life, and she's going to do her skill 3. Now, with Haruhime, I've got a choice to make here. So debuffs are about to expire, so I could replace the debuffs, but I really want to do Blowing Wind and make sure those debuffs are replicated. If I don't, it is what it is. Now, Haruhime does do, her skill 1 does do a lot of big buffs, and I'm going to try to get those out really soon. But at the moment, on this turn, I really, really needed that debuff replication. And I've got to think about when the next time I'm going to do Dawn Wind is. I got to do Dawn Wind next turn. So, here's the deal. I could run out of debuffs really soon. And in fact, I've got 2 turns left before the debuffs expire anyway. So actually, I could go ahead and do Night Storm, get out my counter buff, get out all that other stuff, and that's going to help Haruhime heal the rest of the team. Everybody else pretty much is going to do their biggest skill, and that's that. Because 2 turns from now, the debuffs are removed. I don't care if they run out on the end of this following turn, because they were gone anyway. So, play wisely, don't chase, basically just don't chase pointless dreams, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. Now, Haruhime can do her big attack on this turn, but I'm going to go ahead and do Dawn Wind a little bit early, because that means the earlier I do this, the earlier I can get back into debuff replication, and we'll be good to go. So I'm going to do Dawn Wind on this turn. Everybody else is going to do their big attack. Whether or not, once again, because normally you'd wait till the next turn to do Dawn Wind, but since there's no real debuffs applied on that, I would rather sit back and do Blowing Wind next turn and get that debuff replication out and spam that as much as humanly possible. Okay? Here we go. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. All right. So, now you will notice that all of his debuffs are gone. And he's buffed his magic resist, he's buffed his physical resist, and his counter rate. Now, the downside is, this does mean that doing an SA in this turn is not preferable. The SAs aren't going to hit as hard, they're not going to do nearly as much. But, so, what I'm going to do is I need to replace the strength and magic debuff. I got to make sure that that sticks around. And notice those are going to expire next turn, so I'm going to wait till next turn to do my big debuff SA with Elfie. But I need to do this turn anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. She doesn't have any debuffs, so she's going to go back to skill 1. She has a single target debuff, so she's going to go ahead and do skill 2. And Haruhime just did Dawn Wind. She's got Dawn Wind for 3 turns. So as I said, I'm going to do Blowing Wind to make sure that we get that debuff replication out. Let's go. Oof, oof, ladies, ladies, ladies! No, why? Why? I'm recording a video here. Could y'all not? I just want to point out, and I say this all the time, as a content creator, it's always Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong absolutely will. It's just frustrating sometimes, because she never dies. She always survives this. Haruhime just failed to do one counterattack, and then cost us Philvis's life. So because of that, it is a null run. Now I have to restart. I got to go back out. But you know what? I'm going to finish this up so you guys know what turn order and everything is in. But really, if I'm going for a numbers run, this is the point at which I give up. I step back, I walk away, and I curse Haruhime up and down for not doing her stupid job. But neither here nor there. We're going to just soldier on. The downside of this is, normally what I would do here on this turn is I would do a double SA. I would do an SA with Elfie, and I would do an SA with Philvis. Since Philvis has decided to do her Goblin Slayer impression.
Oh, you're asking for it.
Then I can't really do that now, can I? So, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do Blowing Wind once again. Replicate debuffs. He's already got a few debuffs in play, so we're good to go there. And she's going to do her SA. That's going to give us 60% magic resist and 60% dark resist. I could do an SA with her, but I'm simply not going to. I'm actually a little bit frustrated. I'm not going to lie. So let's go ahead and do this. Now, the real big thing to bear in mind here, as I said before, this is one turn. So I need to have Haruhime doing Dawn Wind, which she got 2 turns left to do. I need her doing that on this turn. Not Dawn Wind, Blowing Wind. I need her doing that on this turn to make sure that we get the debuff replication. So Blowing Wind is extremely important to basically the long game here. Now, if you would imagine for a moment here, normally what I would do is I'd have Filvis do a second essay as well, and then get, a big hit from that out. Since Haruhime decided not to heal, I'll be bitter about that for the rest of the video by and by. She's not going to obviously be able to get an essay out. So I really wouldn't have that essay up there. So, as far as my essay situation goes, I'm just going to tell you guys what I would do going forward. Really, I would just have that little tiny bit of charge up there at the top, because normally I'd have her essay there. Everybody else, pretty much on the rest of this turn, is just going to kind of do their big attack. We've got, debuff replication going on with Blowing Wind. By and by, Dawn Wind is only lasting one more turn, but our buffs are not in any danger of wearing out. And I don't think we're going to need a huge amount of that HP regen going forward. So I'm going to let Dawn Wind lapse, and I'm just going to continue doing Blowing Wind. Might be a bit of a costly scenario, but she's going to continue doing that through next turn. So through this turn. So I'll have 2 turns where we're not doing where we're not doing HP regen, but we'll still get the counter heals, and he's debuffed enough. I'm not losing sleep over it. Now, the main thing we'd be working up to here is an essay with Filvis on the final turn. Obviously, she's our main DPS as far as at least essays go. Then we do the triple on turn... Yeah, triple on turn what I'd say? Turn 8. Then we'd obviously do the double we just did with the debuff. And then we do a single here at the very end just to get that last little piece of damage out. Now, you could do that a bunch of different ways, but for me, this is what I have had built with this team. Obviously, you want to handle it, but basically after the first essay, you want to reapply all your buffs. After the second essay, you want to reapply all your debuffs. And from that point on, you're seriously just focused on doing as much damage as humanly possible. And once again, even if Dawn Wind has now expired, we have enough turns on our buffs. I'm not worried about it. I don't need it. It's extraneous to the situation, and we're just building up to that final essay. So, normally here, like I said, I do one more Filvis essay, and then everybody else would just do their big hit. And that would be that. Obviously, since Filvis is once again doing her impression, then I can't do that. But there's turn 15. There we go. And that is pretty much that. So hopefully this guy... I did a 809 without Filvis on the end? That probably was a 1-bill run. Damn it, Haruhime! Anyway, there's one other thing I want to discuss here, and that is in the guild. So, once you get 100 mil out, if you go into the guild, and unfortunately I've already claimed it, so I'm going to actually show you my pull from last night on rendition 1 of this video, but if you go down here, not to the gacha, go to the guild, and go to time limited, once you get your first 100 million score, cumulative, mind you. So if you get like down here, 35 mil, then a 40 mil, and then, whatever, eventually you can work your way up to 100 mil. If you're not getting 100 mil after 2 or 3 runs, you probably need to reassess what you're doing, because you're probably doing it wrong. 100 mil is simple in this day and age. So make sure you're running at least like level 4, level 5, level, I wouldn't even say 4. I'd say 5, 6, or preferably 7. Because remember, there's a damage modifier in each one of those. If you're running one of those, you should be fine, and you should be able to get out a really, really, really stellar score. Now, once you get that, you're going to get an 11 draw ticket to pull on the brand new banner. That's right. If you're after Revis, like I am, you could actually pull on the banner here. I did the pull last night, and I'm going to pull it up right here, right now. But I wanted to tell you guys, if you want to summon along with me, go ahead, pause the video right now. We'll jump over to last night's summon, and you guys can summon along with me. Let's go right now. This is an 11 draw. Let's see if I can pull some luck on this, because I really need more Revis. Oh, look at that. That's good stuff. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Lot of Chagooses. Oh, here we go. First 4-star. Okay, we got a Gareth. Not mad about that. He's now +2. So, can we get a Revis up in here? Let's get a Revis. I'm asking for the world, but I really need a Revis. Come on! Banner, what are you doing to me? Bruh. I mean, I say that as I got a 4-star, you know? And Gareth's going to be really good for a war game. Maybe really good for a war game, but truly and honestly not what I was actually after. So hopefully this helps you guys out. This is a brand new Record Buster. If you need any further help with it, let me know in the comments if you want like a full breakdown. We've done really detailed breakdowns on all of them in the past. So like, comment, share. Let me know in the comments for absolute certain, and I'll catch you all in the next one.